Hello everyone, I am Tacet, and today I'm going to be going over the Bogstein Strangler event in which the Marsh Strangler and the Bogstrider are added into the game. So let's get into that. First off, with the Bogstrider, it does have pure green arcane stealth trait stone. This will be good for your goblin if you don't already have it upgraded, as well as upgrading your archer class, because archer class is one of the best hero classes in the game and you unlock it from Fars of Thorns. But with the Bogstrider here, it is a pretty average troop. It is a common. One of its really good things is it does have a decent amount of gem destroy, especially this week with the 50% bonus. But the main pretty unique thing about him is he has two traits that no other troop has. Bark Skin, which is just a 33% skull reduction, and the main one that actually makes him viable is Tangle. Inflicts entangle when doing skull damage, and that is very potent. This is actually the cheapest entangle you can possibly get on any single troop that can be placed very effectively. You can just put a skeleton at minimum, or any skull spammer that can put skulls on the board. Just do that, get him to tangle. He does have to be in the first slot to be able to do it, but this will be really good anti-skull spam. And you can even use skull spam with it to be able to prevent the enemy from using skull spam, so going to be pretty decent. As far as any other troops that get tangled, they'll likely replace the Bogstrider in the future, but since he is the only one that has it as of currently, it's just a really cheap, efficient way early on in the game to be able to have an entangle without having to cast. So let's go over to the Marsh Strangler here. The green-purple you'll use mainly for getting troops with Empowered. There are a lot of green-purples with Empowered, more so than any other color. Other than that, if you happen to have a Kraken, you would use it to fully trade up your Kraken. But the Marsh Strangler here, nothing too special, just deals damage to an enemy boosted by Entangled at a 5x ratio. Of course, all of its stats are with 50% as well, same as the previous Bogstrider, so do keep that in mind. Their stats will be lower in the future. As far as the Marsh Strangler, it doesn't really excel in anything. You'll kind of use it this week if you want to, just to be able to get off some nice damage off it because it has 50%. Other than that, you won't really ever use it again. You're better off with just a Dire Wolf or something of the such. Would be a much better replacement in the future than a Marsh Strangler, but we'll still do a team with it. Nothing like too over the top this week, though surprisingly, this happens quite a bit. The common is better than the rare, which is kind of funny. So let's see, which one should we start with? Let's start with Marsh, sure. We'll start with the Marsh Strangler. We're going to use it with Swamp Lash, which is the other plant from Mist of Scales. Going to use it with a Green Seer so we can get more entangles on them, as well as feed all of the green that we need for all of our other troops. And I'm also going to be using a Spring Imp here. Spring Imp is in the drop pool, I believe, from April to May, if I'm not mistaken. I have a video that goes over that. I'll probably just link that in the corner. There are like seasonal imps that come in here and there, and I believe that thing's coming in the near future. But if you happen to already have one, if you don't, there's plenty of replacements that you could put there, or even just put in a brown-red to be able to cover out the rest of your colors, which would probably be a more viable option if you don't happen to have one already. So we'll go throw this down, get our greens here going. Though you wouldn't really ever need to use a team focus around this, simply because the only benefit this has is because of its 50%. Once it loses that 50%, it's not going to have a high enough damage to really be viable. Okay, so we have skulls here. Probably going to pay no attention to it. Oops, what am I? Chat button right there getting in the way of my clicks. So we'll go do that, get our kill with the Swamp Lash. See if we can get this off, though it would be more beneficial if they all were entangled, which we can do with a Spring Imp, only troop in the game that can entangle all enemies. So we'll go and throw that down. So all of them will be entangled now, and we'll be able to get the higher damage with the Lash. So we'll throw that down, target it at, I guess, the first one, just so we can kill it out with a skull. And then just get a Green Seer somewhere to get the rest of our green that we're going to be needing. Throw that down on reds. Do need to be a little worried about the Dryad. It's going to be creating greens as well. May end up getting an extra turn and stuff like that. But we'll just go for our split damage right here. If it gets a kill, it'll do even more damage. And there it goes off the kill. And we'll have this entangled. This should be able to get us a kill. It re-entangles as well as does double damage if they already have an entangle on them. And now we just need to get one more poke with that, and that will be the match. You can see we're just basically using the two plants to be able to chip them down and then kill them. So we'll go for a purple here, hopefully use that on blue if he doesn't ruin it, and that should be the match because it's still entangled. We'll be able to get the double damage, and there we go. You may see here Salvani Moore. He used to be a pretty good entangling troop, since he could always re-entangle the first troop. But now that the Bogstrider is in the game and anything else that ever gets tangled, those will be a really nice alternative since you could just take a skull instead of having to do an extra turn. So we'll go show a team with him as well. As far as the 2 new troops that came into the game, I would definitely advise getting more Bogstriders than the little swamp lash plant thing. Mainly because the Bogstrider will give you the green trait stones that you need for Archer class, as well as the troop is slightly more useful. Also, you may be noticing like Vinoxia there, Vinoxia here. In the event drop keys this week, Vinoxia is the only legendary in the event key drop pool. Do keep in mind you likely do not want to use your event keys this week because Dragon Soul is coming next week, and Dragon Soul is going to be the only event key drop or event key legendary next week. So unless you desperately want a Vinoxia, I wouldn't really advise using your event keys this week. Save them for the following week on March 6th. So let's go into the other team now, a little bit more of an Entangle build. Might be a bit annoying with a Gorgoltha, but we could probably Bonnie Rose it or just do some kind of other really high damage. But Bogstrider, really good skull counter, has not only skull reduction, but can be able to place entangles, and just sturdy against any kind of things that are skull oriented. Ironically, you do tend to use the anti-skull, it's a really anti-skull troop, yet you tend to use it with other skull troops, simply because you need to be able to place his entangle, and to be able to place his entangle you need skulls, and yeah, kind of just that endless cycle of countering out itself with itself. So we'll go take our blues here. We do want to try focusing down the Gorgoltha since it does have a 75% skull reduction when fully traded. We'll likely just do that with a Bone Dragon. And next patch should be coming up in the next couple weeks, and we already know Bone Dragon's getting nerfed, so enjoy it while you can if you have one. So normally you would go for the second troop and work your way down, but because he has a Gorgoltha, we have to aim at the first troop, because even with aiming at the first troop, we don't even get the kill because he's just that sturdy. One slightly unfortunate thing about this is it doesn't entangle through, so we'll have to kill that, and he will unfortunately be able to get that skull. At least the bark skin will still be able to trigger. A little bit annoying to trigger or figure out what 33% will be every single time, but that is his value of reduction. Okay, so let's see. No yellows. I have a humility here, hoping that we could get a magic buff on him. Whenever you have a troop that can destroy gems off the board, getting magic on it is quite fun, because you can eventually get to the point, if it has 64 or more magic, that'll just destroy the entire board. If it gets over 64, it doesn't do additional. Since the board only has 64, the max amount it could do with this spell is 64 gems. Let's see. We'll go for the Bone Dragon, I guess. Might as well. And now, since the Gorgoltha's gone, we can just go straight down the line. And it really wants my Bogstrider dead, so we won't even be able to really utilize it too much. Hopefully we get a green drop. Can we get our greens? Doesn't look like it yet. We'll take that mana. And nope, he just doesn't want us getting greens. I guess we could take it here. I will give it blue, but it doesn't use blue, so we'll just go for that. So we'll be able to get its ability off. There goes the blues. Oh, it does get right out of it too. Don't you dare! Really? Oh, there goes our Bogstrider. He served us as a good tank. We didn't really get to utilize the entangles though, but he is still entangled. If we were to miss our skull spam somehow, at least he wouldn't be able to really poke us at all. And at this point, we can just Bone Dragon, take a skull or two. Actually, he has quite a bit of HP there. Might need a few of them, and there we go on a few of them. So, Bogstrider and the new Swamp Thing. As far as both of them go, you kind of just get them for your collection. Bogstrider you would use as an anti-skull if you're really desperate for one. It's a really cheap and efficient one. Both of them will kind of just fade out of existence. It's kind of one of those troops that come and they lose relevance pretty quick. As soon as another Tangle troop comes into game, Bogstrider won't be used, and as soon as the 50% leave both of them, Neither of them would really get too much usage, but it's a nice alternative to Entangles that they added for people who may not be able to get a fully traded Sylvania Mora, or may not want to waste a slot on something like Thorn Knight when this team doesn't really need that synergy. Now you'll be able to put a Bogstrider there, and it'll act as a decent tank on top of having some synergy with your team, since it can get those gems destroyed off of the board. Anyways, thanks for watching. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to leave it in the comment section below, and have a wonderful week.